You probably noticed this already if you're a fan of Netflix's drama The Crown, but it changes its cast every couple of years because, well, it's covering a lot of time here, and season 5 is no different apparently, with the previous cast once again laying down their titles and their tiaras to a new, or should I say old, new cast. Yeah. Anyway, a few things have been leaked, including a few screenshots that have clued us all into what the next season will be covering, and it looks to be the most dramatic yet. Let's take a good look at everything we know so far about The Crown Season 5. Setting. Well, it's looking like based on the first round of photos that have been released by Netflix, we are going to be visiting some of the most tumultuous years that the royal family ever had to deal with. At least personally. This is the royal family led by a monarch that has lasted from post-war Britain until present day after all. This time around it's going to move forward into the 1990s, which as anyone living in the UK during that time will tell you, was not a great few years for the royals, with literally 3 divorces among Her Majesty's relatives, being Princess Anne and Mark Phillips, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, and of course Prince Charles and Diana. The season could be the most heartbreaking yet. One of the burning questions is how the show will treat, if it will indeed, the horrific and nation-breaking event that was the death of Diana. This rocked the UK when it happened, was and is still subject to an incredible amount of controversy and suspicion, especially when it came to who should be blamed for the tragedy. Some say the royals did it, some say it was the media harassment, but the causes have ranged from everything from petty jealousy to racist fury, to speculation over her possible pregnancy. It's likely that we'll never know, but the show had better tread very carefully to avoid offending someone who was there at the time. A lot of the audience of the show are people who lived through the 90s, which brings a new list of problems for the creators. One thing has been announced that the already approved Season 6 will be the final season of the show, but it will not be bringing us to present day, which is probably a good thing as just the imagination of them trying to cast a Meghan Markle could tank the show's viewership by itself. Creator Peter Morgan has in fact gone to great lengths over how he would end the show, but in July of 2020 he revealed it. As we started to discuss the storylines for Series 4, it soon became clear that in order to do justice to the richness and complexity of the story, we should go back to the original plan and do 6 seasons, he told Deadline. He then verified, to be clear, Series 6 will not bring us any closer to present. It will simply enable us to cover the same period in greater detail. Release date. There was no announcement for the longest time as to how and when the show would release, but finally it was recently announced that the 5th season of the popular series will be releasing in November of 2022, something that was confirmed by Imelda Staunton, the celebrated actress who will now be playing Queen Elizabeth II in the show. Cast. So it's as good a time as any to discuss the cast then. As mentioned, Olivia Colman is giving way now to the well-known Imelda Staunton, a woman who has portrayed many a character on British screens, but is probably best known for her expertly cruel portrayal of Dolores Umbridge in the Harry Potter series of movies, where she punished and attempted to seize control over the main characters, becoming one of the series' most hated villains in the process. For a woman as nice as she is in person, to have people say that about her, she is definitely a fantastic actress. Staunton spoke on the subject saying that, "I think my sort of extra challenge, as if I needed it, is that I'm now doing the Queen that we're a little more familiar with. With Claire Foy, it was almost history, and now I'm playing one that people could say, she doesn't do that, she's not like that, and that's my personal bête noire." The first photos went out in July of 2021 of Staunton as the Queen, and as you would expect, she is nailing it, as are the hair and makeup team. Another photo was released too, and it absolutely smacked people in the face with its depiction of Elizabeth Debicki, previously from Tenet as Princess Diana, someone whose casting could be considered a stroke of genius. She looks 90% identical to Diana from top to bottom. It really is incredible. The hair, the clothes, exactly right. She's even holding a particularly important letter that could be the one everyone in Britain has heard of. But another picture was released too, where she seems to be avoiding the paparazzi in the wake of the divorce and looks a lot closer to how she did in her final days. Josh O'Connor is replaced this season by Dominic West of The Wire, who is looking quite the part as Prince Charles, capturing the mannerisms exactly with the hand in the pocket and the very saddened look on his face. It's almost like looking at a 1990s newspaper. As for Prince Philip, who began with Doctor Who's Matt Smith in the role before Tobias Menzies of Game of Thrones took over, we'll have seasoned veteran British legend Jonathan Pryce to fill the role, and an excellent choice it is. Pryce has been in everything from Game of Thrones to the Pirates of the Caribbean movies to James Bond and many, many more celebrated projects. As for Princess Margaret, it'll be hard to say goodbye to her wonderfully boozy performance as Princess Margaret, but Leslie Manville of Phantom Thread is more than up for the challenge. As for Princess Anne, Claudia Harrison will be taking over from Erin Doherty. Emerald Fennell vacates the seat of Camilla Parker Bowles, Charles's future second wife, and hands it over to Olivia Williams. Other cast members haven't been announced besides Prime Minister John Major, who will be played by Johnny Lee Miller. We might even see his successor, the smiling and sycophantic future war criminal Tony Blair, make an appearance. Perhaps some children will also get the roles of Prince William and Prince Harry. Speculation. So it looks like that we are headed to the 1990s, a time which absolutely rocked the royal family thanks to divorce, death, and dubious behavior publicly. Charles and Diana formally separated in 1992, leading to the Queen claiming the year to be an annus horribilis, or a horrible year. It also saw both Prince Andrew and Fergie's divorces and Princess Anne split from Mark Phillips. Maybe that should have been annus apocalypsis, especially after the horrible fire at Windsor Castle too. Of course, the tabloid papers were already all over Charles and Diana split, but it became even worse when Diana revealed details in a book written by Andrew Morton titled Diana, Her True Story. Of course, the UK faced a recession and currency crisis on Black Wednesday and joined Operation Desert Storm, a conflict led by the US to liberate Kuwait, and the long terror of the IRA bombing seemed to finally see its end in a ceasefire, and later the Good Friday Agreement. Of course, 1997, as mentioned, was the year that broke the UK's hearts, as Princess Diana mysteriously died in a tragic car crash in Paris that would be made infinitely worse by the royal family's highly criticized response to the tragedy and how they move forward, seemingly callously from the horror. It would be quite nice if they could deliver some sort of a happy ending to the show at the end of season 6, especially as 1997 really was a center of much controversy and criticism of the royal family, with much public opinion against them and sympathetic to Diana, but who can tell? Maybe they'll have the good sense to bring the show through the millennium and add to the Queen's Golden Jubilee in 2002, which was a day of much celebration and street parties across the kingdom. It's unlikely that they would go much further from that kind of time, and the other reason to do it is because from coronation to Jubilee would tie the show off at a nice round number in 50 years of the Queen's history covered. It was also the year that Queen Mother and Princess Margaret died, and so there would be the perfect amount of bittersweet in those final episodes. Whatever they do, it's time to get excited and prepare for November, when we'll be seeing the answers to all of these questions. But what do you think?